One of the exciting things the last 2 years is having a JV reserve team and seeing our numbers increase and seeing how those players have immediately been ready to contribute at the varsity level. And that was evident this year, especially when varsity just got hit with a rash of injuries and going into playoffs. By our last playoff game, we were starting 2 of the JV players in the CIF game. And they stepped up and were ready to step in. So Laura and Jacqueline, thank you for all that you've done and for the skills that you to train these girls and the way they play. They're ready to play varsity when they leave you, and that's awesome as a varsity coach to know that they're ready. So thank you to you guys. All right, our varsity team. On the field, here are some impressive stats from this year. These girls were 24-3 this year. Which is by far the most wins for a team ever at TVHS. And 4 losses is the least amount of losses since the CIF championships and the one undefeated. So an outstanding record. In league, we were 6-2-2 and finished 2nd place. It's funny when your expectations are so high. There's a time when 2nd place is disappointing, and I know that we felt that a little bit this year. But at the same time, what we kind of dealt with through the league play with injuries and just some things like that. 2 games just literally not going our way, but I felt, especially in one of them, that we were the better team on the field. But to come into our last game in a game that we had to win and pull that out, and so that was really good. We won the Heritage Tournament, which we were in. I know, not that there's a lot of competition, but you can only play the teams in front of you, so you guys did a great job there. We didn't give up any goals in the tournament either, I don't think. But the one that really means something is the Excalibur tournament. When we go up to Orange County and play teams from up there, Division I teams, and this year made it to the semifinals, which is the furthest we've ever made it. And only giving up 1 goal in that tournament also, and that was purely due to the food eaten at Spoons the night before. By Tiffany and Nicole, that had the worst night of their life in the hotel. Didn't get to play. Yeah, the next day, yeah. But we made the semifinals there, and one of the teams we beat there, Edison, made it to the finals for CIF in Division I. I don't know if they won it because I never looked it up again, but the teams that we played and beat there were top level Division I teams. We went to the 2nd round in CIF, and in 27 games this year, the girls scored 92 goals, which definitely led our division, if not all of 7 sections for goals scored for a team. And we only gave up 11 in 27 games, so if I do the math correctly, that's less than a half a goal a game average, which is pretty incredible in soccer, because at some point you're just going to give up a bad goal or a goal that doesn't matter or whatever, and these girls never even did that in the game. So that was all the on-the-field stuff. Off the field, we had some good memories starting the beginning of the season with the hike that so many of them missed and others loved. The welcome to the team, kidnapping and breakfast that we talked about earlier, which is always a highlight. Kids camp, these girls do an awesome job as role models and instructing the younger kids that come to our camp, and that has really grown into something pretty special, and they do a great job with that. The PK shootout, which was a huge success this year, they were part of that. We had a scavenger hunt at the mall one night. And one new thing we did this year was we had a movie, games, food night in my classroom one night at Linfield. That was super fun, playing games, board games and stuff. Our Excalibur trip is always a highlight. Younger players, you'll look forward to having an opportunity to do that when we go stay in the hotel for 2 days up in Orange County. And then of course the team dinners every week, which are often in and out quick between homework and other things going on, but a special hour for the girls just to hang out and eat together and be at different people's homes and stuff like that. So Those are some of the highlights. This was a very talented group of girls that really came together early. The team chemistry from the very beginning was outstanding, and I attribute that a lot to the leadership that the seniors provided this year. There were 9 new players on our roster, which is a lot for a team, including 3 goalkeepers, which was, at the time, we thought a lot, and kind of trying to sort through that. But it didn't take long for these people and the new players to fill a role and for them to be accepted. The returners did an awesome job of welcoming in new players, from the 1 freshman on the team, Christine, to a brand new senior on the team, new to the school, new to the area, new to the program, to Peyton, and everyone in between. Everyone in between, they just figured out how to play together from the very beginning, and that showed with those non-league games and stuff. This was a fun team to be around. I enjoyed every single moment with them. It was fun. They just enjoyed the game. They enjoyed each other. And we didn't have to deal with any girl drama all year long, and it was brilliant. Nicole's goal from the start of the season, no drama. And she did a good job with that. A few people to thank. Eric, where's Eric? Where's our staff boy? Eric, thank you for doing stats for us and for being on the bench. We appreciated that this year. I know the girls appreciate it because they don't like to do it, so to have someone else was great. And then I'd like to have our 4 JV girls we brought up to CIF come up again real quick. Peanut, Hannah, Emma, and Alex. When I started the year with 21 on the varsity roster, I never would have thought we'd get down to playoffs and need more players. But that was the case at this time this year. And so going into playoffs, you know, talking with Jacqueline and what the needs were with the varsity team, we called up these 4 girls. And they got to come practice with us. And little did we know that 19 minutes into, or 21 minutes into the first game, Sarah was going to collide heads and split her head open. And blood all over the field, and it was awesome. But Alex had been doing a great job in practice, and I turned to Ash and I'm like, should we go for it? Like, we better try it now, because she's a freshman, and if we throw her in and it works, then we've got her the whole game. If we aren't sure, we wait, like, we just might be wasting an opportunity. If it doesn't work, we can always go to another option. But we put Alex on the field. I went and told her, I was like, you're gonna go in, and she looks at me with these big wide eyes. And she's like, all right, I'm excited. It went perfect, and she played the rest of that game and the whole second game and just did an outstanding job filling in. And like Jacqueline said, she has a very good head for the game, and so you just put her on the field, and she didn't have to play with our girls. She knows how to play the game of soccer, you know, so she did an outstanding job there. And then Peanut, we brought Peanut up also, and Peanut proved over the last 3 years that this is one of the most committed, tenacious players that I've ever seen. She wants to get better every single day, and just that work rate and that attitude has just been impressive to watch. And so she came up and carried that right over to our practices and our trainings, and I know had the opportunity been there, she would have done that on the field. So thanks for coming up, Peanut. And Emma, goalkeeper number 4 for the varsity this year. I've never been on a team that's gotten so many keepers. Early on in the season, some of the older players are like, why do we have 3 goalkeepers? I'm like, I don't know. I just had this feeling, or we couldn't distinguish between them or whatever. And who would have thought by the end of the year we were starting our JV keeper in the CIF playoff game. But Emma did an outstanding job. I told her right at warm-ups, I'm like, you're in, Emma. She's like, okay. Here goes nothing, and if you were at that game, if you weren't, you may have heard, she just did an outstanding job. Had some huge saves in a 1-1 tie in that game, and unbelievable to just step up into that situation and just do your job, and so great job, Emma. And Hannah was another one, defender, and she didn't get in the game, but the same thing in practice and in training, just really worked hard and asked lots of questions and wanted to get better, and really took advantage of the opportunity to practice for those 2 weeks with the varsity team, and definitely looking forward to you being in the program again next year. So good job, Hannah. right, let's call up all the freshmen. No, Christine Maurer, the freshman, this is her first varsity letter. What an unbelievable stat season that Christine had. 25 goals. 25 goals in a 4-year career is impressive. 25 goals, you know, maybe your senior year is impressive, but 25 goals as a freshman is crazy and awesome. And also 10 assists, which is really a testament to how she plays the game. She is selfish when she needs to be, but unselfish when she needs to be also. And there were times when early on in the season, it was Excalibur, we had played those 10 preseason games that were not super challenging. She had scored in every game we had played. And we get into Edison, playing Edison, and it's a whole different level, different speed, physical, and she was getting a little bit beat up, a little discouraged, a little kind of frustrated, and I remember pulling her out at 0-0 at the end, and I was just talking to her a little bit, and I just said, all right, you're gonna go back in, and your goal in the next 10 minutes is to get shots up. Like, that's all I want you to worry about, is just shots, don't worry about passing, anything else, just get shots up. And she went back in and scored twice in about the first 6 minutes she was in the game. And that was awesome, just because she can take that frustration and how it was, you know, going, kind of compose herself and go back on, refocus, and get the job done. Most goals and assists by a freshman. Started the season scoring in 10 straight games. Very athletic. We used to joke, I don't even know if she knows, but we would be like, Christine never goes to the ground. Like, she'd get knocked and hit, and she's so athletic that she could never get knocked over. That the few times she did fall, we're like, what? Christine fell down? What's going on? In Excalibur and League, often double teamed, and like I said, one of the things that I really admire about her is how she learned to play in those situations. Laying the ball back, connecting with other people, and making runs off the ball. And she really gained respect of her teammates early on in the season by just coming in and working. She didn't say a word, she didn't try to prove to be anything other than a soccer player on the field, and the girls fell in love with her. I mean, we're in Heritage, and she hadn't scored in one of the games. It was like 7-0 yet. And the girls on the bench are like, get the ball to Christine, like she has to score. Like when she scored goal number 9 or whatever, it was like the biggest eruption on the sideline because they knew that she kept her streak alive. Super excited to have her in the program for the next 3 years, and for her play on the field this year in League, Christine was voted the first team All-League. Mo's a sophomore midfielder. Mo is the second player in my 14 years of coaching that has skipped the JV level, has played on the JV reserve team as a freshman, and then just did an outstanding job at tryouts and earned a spot on the varsity team this year. She played defensive mid for us this year. Mo's very skilled with the ball at her feet. She wins balls. She plays way bigger than her size. And just has an outstanding attitude. And she had to play behind some older midfielders this year, and the time was a little bit limited, especially when it came to League. So what not everyone saw was how much Mo worked and how much she improved in practices. And I know that there's no doubt that when she is needed next year on the field, that she's going to be ready to play. And she just really improved this season, and love her attitude and her willingness to work on the field and off the field. So great job this season, Mo. Amanda. Amanda is also a sophomore goalkeeper. This is her first varsity letter. She was in that group of 3 keepers beginning of the year that we were figuring out who's going to start, and she played some JV games early on, played some varsity games, and going into Excalibur, coming out of Excalibur to League, she had earned a starting spot. And so in League, she was 4-1-1 as a starter. Amanda's a great shot stopper, very quick, anything low around the ball, and unbelievable in 1v1 situations. I can remember in particular, well, maybe not in particular, Vista, one at Vista, and then one in, it was the Vista game. She had that, yeah. Well, the first Vista game, she had a huge one-on-one that she stayed in the first half before we had 3 goals in the second half. And then what put her out was her just aggressiveness and her fearlessness in having some collisions and some wild running strikers at her. But she got a concussion and just has set her back and still kind of dealing with that now, so didn't get to play much after that. But we're excited to have her back next year, healthy and ready to own that goal again, so good job, Amanda. Lauren. Lauren is a sophomore midfielder, and this is her second varsity letter, and I know that this season did not go as Lauren had planned. Having torn my ACL as a sophomore too, like I really just feel for her and what she went through. But admire how this girl responded and how she handled it. Her attitude was unbelievable. The smile was always there on her face when she showed up for us. And just to see her focus and determination in recovery to get back healthy, moving around, and back on the soccer field. And the way that she continued to support the team, be there, and be a part of everything. And we definitely look forward to having her athleticism and her soccer skill and savvy back on the field next year. So, good job. Emma Shoemaker played midfield for us this year. This is her first varsity letter. She was definitely a leader on the JV team last year. Loved watching her play, and she earned the spot on varsity this year. She had 1 assist this season. Emma's a super skilled player and really worked this season to speed up her play on the varsity level and just play 1 and 2 touch and played behind Nicole. And obviously Nicole doesn't come off the field much, so sometimes playing time was limited as the season wore on. But the one thing that stands out to me about Emma is whenever she was needed, she was ready to go. In particular, Excalibur weekend when Nicole is throwing up in the hotel room all night and day. And, all right, Emma, here you go. Let's go play against Los Osos. And she just stepped up and had an outstanding game. And then there were situations like that this season where in league we needed her, and she just stepped up and played. Showed a ton of improvement, and a lot of that was seen in practice. Definitely a type of player that wants to get better and did that every day. And she's a natural leader, and next year we're going to look forward to having that on the field. So great job, Emma. Anna. This is Anna's first varsity letter. She played outside back, a little bit of center back early on in the season, and one thing that I remember about Anna from last year is just her speed and her tenacity, and that definitely showed up this year. And she really stepped up. You know, when I kind of look at this roster and who we have, I didn't really know what I was going to get from Anna, and she absolutely blew us away in those first few games. First start of the season, just playing so composed and physical, and won balls in the air and did lots of things like that. She missed Excalibur, went to Europe, little Christmas vacation. So, and then when she came back to league, all of a sudden, whoa, league is physical and faster and all that kind of stuff. And she kind of went through a little bit of a rough time there, but by the end of the season, she had come out of that. She worked through it in practice and got back starting on the field and had one of the most courageous games in the last CIF game. And I didn't even know it because she didn't tell anyone, but she was not feeling good and so sick in that last CIF game. And here we are, like, come on, Anna, like, I'm just like, she doesn't look as fast as she usually does. Little do I know what she's going through. And then we have her play extra 20 minutes and it's hot out there. And this girl didn't say a word at all until the next day when it came to the senior practice, and she's like, I just can't do it. So that just shows the courage that she had and what she was willing to do for her teammates, and that was an outstanding quality that you had. So great job, and I look forward to having you back next year. Awards was that class of 2016. All right, juniors. Face Julie, she wants a picture. All right, Sarah Fenton. Sarah's a junior. She played midfield and defender for us this year. She had 4 assists this year and a sweet scar on her forehead. That is the biggest cut or head injury and most blood I've ever seen in a soccer game. And she only got to come back for 21 minutes after her injury to her foot. But Sarah is a very, very intelligent soccer player. You know, seeing all sorts of athletes, there's really good athletes that have no understanding of the game, but their athleticism makes up for it. And Sarah's one of those players that is always in the right place, doing things technically right. Ashley and I always are like, love watching Sarah in passing patterns, but it's all technical. And we're just like, Sarah does it perfect every single time. Like, you could videotape Sarah for technical training stuff. And she just stepped up in Excalibur, in particular when Anna was gone. We threw her in at right back and just took ownership of that position. When we needed her at D-mid, I remember they put Healer in the Marietta Valley game, the last one before your leg injury. Just played outstanding there. So wherever we needed a player, she was willing to do that. And best injury ever, that head injury was, I mean, it wasn't, I know, it sounds horrible, but it was pretty cool. I was sad that it knocked her out of the game, but and we definitely missed her when she was out. So great job, Sarah, this year. Look forward to you next year. Tiffany. Tiffany, this is her first varsity letter. She was on JV last year and one of the leading goal scorers down there. And this year, Tiffany had 8 goals and 9 assists for us, which is outstanding. She played outside mid most of the season, a little bit at striker, and for me, it was just a huge surprise. Like, Tiffany was a great JV player, but she missed one day of tryouts the last day, and so it was kind of, you know, yeah, yep, we're going to take her on varsity, but just not exactly sure what we're going to get. And I was blown away with her speed and her understanding of the game and her ability to get crosses in from the wing. Just was outstanding this year. Very, very smart player on the weak side of the ball. Like, if the ball's coming down the other side, she was always making the right runs on the weak side and had some great goals getting in on the back side. And just did a great job there, and glad that she's around for another year. So great job, Tiffany. Jordan. Jordan this is her first varsity letter also. Jordan had 3 goals, but 10 assists this year. That was tied for second on the team for assists. Outstanding speed and tenacity on the field. I remember when we brought her up for CIF last year, she was just a little buzzing bee all over the field, and she just did that again this year with a ton of skill, a lot of confidence taking players one-on-one, and really, really got good at getting to the end line and getting crosses in, and that's where a lot of her assists came from. She also defended outstanding. I would always wait and tell her she would never know what side of the field she was playing on, especially after Angela was out, because I'd always wait to see which outside mid had the most speed that we would put Jordan on. And in the last CIF game, she defended this other number 2 who was by far their best player, and really just shut her down and did a great job there. Outstanding competitiveness, great personality, and the smile is always on her face, and she likes to keep things fun, so we really appreciate that about you, so good job. Jessica. Jessica.